Well, 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 happy Halloween. This year, for the most horrendous time of the year, I wanted to cover something that we can't escape in a modern time nor in a vintage one. Video game tie-ins. Let's face it, the scariest thing a game console can be plagued with sometimes is shovelware, a term used for quickly and cheaply made games that are typically trying to cash in on either a demographic, or in our case, a movie or a television license. There is no end to the amount of shovelware on any given platform, and in 2009, when the Wii and PS2 were still in full swing and the PS3 had just been released, surely a movie from the 1980s would be the thing to get kids to buy a video game. This has been quite the thrill ride of a year for us Ghostbusters fans. We got the announcement of a new movie, a convention, and a remaster of a video game from 2009. I love this game, but even still, I gotta say, this was quite the left field of an announcement for me. The company that made this game went out of business years ago, and just nobody was expecting it or talking about it, but the game did make quite the impression on fans. There were actually two different core versions, a stylized and a non-stylized version. The stylized versions had subtle differences on each platform it was on. The Wii had multiplayer, the DS version let you drive the Ecto-1, so on and so forth. But the one that we got the remaster of was the non-stylized version. This is probably the one I'd recommend anyway, given it just feels better. I have played both, and while I love the stylized cartoony vibe this one puts off, I love this one's more down-to-earth feel. This game truly was a fairly faithful adaptation of the movies. It makes you feel like a Ghostbuster. There is nothing new or controversial to that statement, though. This has been said about the game since its release way back when. It even finds convenient ways to reintroduce fan-favorite characters back into the franchise after their demise and/or capture. The game is commonly referred to by fans as Ghostbusters 3 because it reuses a lot of elements from a discarded script for the third movie referred to as Ghostbusters Go to Hell, but rewritten to be a video game. You're a rookie taken up by the Ghostbusters as a new hire during their presumably busier time of the year as
He's our new experimental equipment technician.
And pretty soon after, shit hits the fucking fan. Slimer gets out of this weird sort of ghost display case and starts causing a fucking ruckus in the basement. He's drawn to the containment unit that's in the basement, and you'll accidentally hit it trying to get his attention and let out a few more ghosts. You train a bit and end up at the Sedgwick Hotel chasing after the escaped ghosts. After hunting them down and once again destroying the ballroom at the hotel, capping a fisherman, you wind up outside fighting a mysteriously reincarnated Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. This leads to a whole shebang of a storyline. Basically, this crazy fan of Gozer the Destroyer, who was an architect in life named Ivo Shandor, how no one thought this man was a villain with a name like that is anyone's guess, is attempting to take over the world. He lures a researcher of Gozer, who happens to be his descendant, to New York, because in order to become a god and merge the ghost world with the human world, he needs his family's blood. This leads to the discovery of an underground ghost subway type deal that's used to funnel power to certain points in the city, so that he can power his operation decades after his death. You and the other Ghostbusters systematically shut down the nodes of the mandala, Hotel Sedgwick, the library, the museum, and the lost island of Ivo Shandor. But Shandor, having his energy funnel shut down, decides to release all of the captured fucking ghosts. Does that sound familiar? It probably should. He takes the form of the architect, how predictable, and is defeated. You're given a head position at an undetermined franchise in an unknown city. The game plays much like any third-person shooter, Gears of War, Fallout games, the usual, and as a
new experimental equipment technician,
you have a plethora of experimental supernatural weaponry at your disposal. Your standard proton thrower, boson darts, stasis streams, shock blasts, meson darts, meson colliders, slime blowers, and slime tethers. Each weapon has certain enemies that are weak to it, but damage can be done using any weapon on most any enemy. enemy. They each have their own uses though. Slime can typically cure possessions, boson darts can destroy things, slime tethers can manipulate the environment, stasis streams freeze enemies, so on and so forth. Your proton pack displays all the info you need, and changing weapons will change the proton pack's colors from red to green to blue to yellow to instantly recognize which weapons are currently in use. It also displays health and the heat level of the pack, which can be vented at any time. It does feel satisfying to use all your weapons in conjunction with each other, boson darting one enemy, shock blasting the next. Each one has a very similar feel to different traditional weapons in other games. Shock blast to a shotgun, and meson colliders to assault rifles, so on and so forth. I never found much use for the stasis stream, but it was just about the only time I've had that complaint at all. Overall, I like them. They can be upgraded at any time for money that you earn from sapping and trapping different ghosts. Of course, by the 5th level, I pretty much had everything bought, and it's not very hard to do. You can also get money for finding haunted artifacts, which are added to the firehouse as decorations. The PKE meter is used to find these things and helps you locate hidden and hostile ghosts as well. The game's not very long or complicated. It's only 7 levels long or so and about 9 hours long. The remaster is only $30, and for that much I think it's worth it. The game aged fairly well, I think, but some may not think so, as it is very obviously a 10-year-old game. The game has its problems though. Sometimes the game can be cryptic, with only your objective being clear and the environment not making totally clear what you need to do, though in retrospect sometimes that may just be my problem. And oftentimes you can be swarmed by enemies very easily. I found myself multiple times throughout being downed over and over and over, especially in some of the more cramped areas like Times Square, especially this fucking section in the graveyard with the Stone Angels. The other Ghostbusters can be fairly dense. They just get downed all the time, and once everyone falls, it's game over. Especially during that last mission. I mean, just look at this. This is ridiculous. Overall, there's not much more that I could possibly say about the game. It's sort of a true sequel or follow-up to the movies. I mean, it's better than some other movies. But the video is kind of short because the game is kind of short. There's not much more I could say about it, even if I wanted to. So, happy Halloween, everyone, and stay safe.